Hello and welcome to Drew Manchu's Comic Book Reviews. I'm your host, Drew Manchu, and today we're going to be taking a look at House of X, number 6. Charles Xavier's dream for a peaceful coexistence between mutants and humans was a lie. But hope is not lost, as Xavier's new dream of a mutant nation, united and strong, has become a reality. He has joined forces with Magneto and the Hellfire Club and invited all of the X-Men's villains into the fold, offering a clean slate and a chance to live peacefully under mutant law. But what are the mutant laws? House of X number 6 begins a month before the first issue, with Xavier and Magneto meeting with Moira right before his announcement to the world. Through the use of Cerebro, he channels his psychic energy to reach every mind on the planet, to speak his piece and lay out his demands. His offer of the miracle drugs of Krakoa to the nations of the world is an exchange for the recognized sovereignty of the mutant nation, but also to recognize all mutants as citizens of Krakoa, and grant amnesty for all mutant criminals and inmates of human prisons, so that they may be judged by mutant laws. This, he says, is non-negotiable. He states that humanity went to sleep the night before believing that the world would be theirs forever, but the truth is that while they slept, the world had changed. We then move to the present day and the very first meeting of the Quiet Council, the first Krakoan government. Apparently, the first matter at hand is the judgment of Sabretooth. He was caught back in House of X number 1 by the Fantastic Four, and via the amnesty agreement turned over to the mutants. But before Sabretooth can be judged by mutant laws, they'll first have to come up with a few. With the huge personalities involved, there is a spirited debate back and forth, but the agreement on 3 basic laws comes fairly quickly. Make more mutants, murder no men, respect the sacred land. With the laws out of the way, it's quickly decided that Sabretooth has indeed broken them, and he is exiled by Krakoa, ensnared in its mines and drugged underground to be held, alive and aware, in stasis, forever. The book ends with all of Krakoa enjoying a jubilant celebration, sharing drinks and revelry while Charles and Magneto look on, and Apocalypse watches from the shadows. There you have it, folks. We get the announcement of the council, the setting of the 3 laws of mutantdom, and a nice happy ending for House of X for all of our merry mutants. And this is the status quo moving forward into Hickman's Dawn of X storyline. We've got one more issue of Powers of 10 to go, so maybe he's going to throw another monkey wrench in the works, but I like how this all sets up the universe. We get the full version of Charles's outcry to humanity, and then it includes the demand for amnesty for any X-villains, any mutant villains that are imprisoned or considered criminals at this point in time. You can tell through his speech that he's not happy about having to leverage these mutant drugs against humanity, but he feels like it's his only way. It's his last straw attempt at making things work for everybody's coexistence. I love that Hickman brings in the larger Marvel universe. We get snippets of the Avengers, the Fantastic Four, and Doctor Strange all taking in this information, which is pretty cool. You also see Dr. Gregor and Erasmus hearing this news and basically gearing up to get the Mother Mold ready, which, too bad for you, that's not going to work. No matter how reluctant he seems, Xavier does strong-arm the entire world, letting them know that mutants are the future and the inheritors of the Earth, and that while humanity slept, the world changed, and their dream was a lie in the same way that his dream was a lie. And I really dig this. I like him more in a Magneto role. That's what it seems like. He doesn't seem like he wants war, but he's prepared to go there, and this is how I like my X-Men. It's revealed quite quickly after the reveal of the council who is on the council. We're still missing Emma's 3rd seat. It's listed as the Red King, but the character is redacted. But on the autumn side of the council, we have Professor Xavier, Magneto, and Apocalypse. On the winter side of the council, we have Exodus and Mr. Sinister, along with Mystique. The summer council is Storm, Jean Grey, and Nightcrawler. And the spring council is Sebastian Shaw, Emma Frost, and our mystery partner. There's some great character interaction between these council members. We get Exodus and Sinister basically having no time for each other, which is pretty great. Apocalypse acting like he's above it all, which he totally is, and Creed running his mouth the entire time until Emma tells him to be quiet. That doesn't even quite work, but then Jean tells him to be quiet, and he turns into a drooling vegetable, which is a nice show of Jean's power compared to Emma's, which is also really high up there, but Jean definitely stronger mutant. Shaw wants to get down to wealth and property because that's what he knows, but we realize that Krakoa is sentient and not a piece of land. So after kill no man, the second law is to respect the sacred land of Krakoa. All this talk of a new faith and a new belief brings up Kurt, and he quotes the Bible when he says that God wanted man to go forth and be fruitful and multiply, which is the origin of the third law, which is to make more mutants. I think it's a bit wasteful, honestly, for Hickman to be throwing Sabretooth down a pit of exile. This is a guy who's been complicated throughout the X-Men's history. He spent time as a hero as well as a villain. And although I do really like the 80s style, super violent, villainous Sabretooth, Creed is one of my favorite characters. I'm kind of sad to see him go away. But it's nice that this badass got the chance to be the example to the world of what mutant law stands for. And he's exiled down to Krakoa. He's being held in stasis, and he's coming back. This is just great foreshadowing by Hickman, because he even says it in the book. He says, perhaps one day you will have the opportunity to redeem yourself, but that day is not today, my friend. And he's kicking and screaming the entire way down. It's kind of a terrifying look at what could happen to these mutants if they break the law. Xavier immediately laments that it is distasteful, but this is kind of the deal that he has to go through. If you're going to make an omelet, you're going to have to break a couple eggs. The Ewok celebration at the end is also really cool. There's a lot of really nice nods that Larraz adds into the book. We get Wolverine bringing Jean and Scott a beer. We get Dazzler singing around a bonfire, and Banshee and Siren decide that they're going to give her a little boost, and we get a great light show as well. It's a little bit of shades of the X-Men Dark Phoenix movie, where they had that little bonfire scene in the woods. But they do it right this time, because Iceman's making the ice cubes, not Storm, because that's not her power. So, bully to Hickman and Larraz for getting that right. There's also a scene of Exodus telling stories to the children, and I really like that. We get Cyclops sharing a beer with his brother, and we get Jean making a peace offering to the White Queen. When are you going to see that again? It seems like it's a happy ending for everybody, except for Apocalypse, who seems to be lurking in the shadows, and maybe he's plotting, but in my mind, it looks like he's sad. It looks like he's lonely. So maybe he's longing for a bigger involvement in this whole deal. I don't know. More foreshadowing in the shadows. Hickman, this guy knows what he's doing. The infographs in this issue also show us some really cool stuff. We get the map of Krakoa, the Pacific and the Atlantic versions of Krakoa, since it's all over the place. And we also get a breakdown of how the captains work alongside this council. Basically, there are 4 members of the mutant race that in the heat of battle can take ultimate control over their armies. They have the ability to act without the council in emergency situations, which is kind of a cool deal, and they're going to give you the opportunity to see how that breaks down in this story. If they don't, why would Hickman even put it in here? Everything is thought out in this book. This is the 6th issue of this side of the story. This is going to show us where we are going into this next realm, and I think that Powers of 10 is going to show us where we eventually get to. So I'm excited to see how that wraps everything up. But as far as House of X, from beginning to end, this is a fantastic story of them reaching for something, sacrificing to get it, and accomplishing their goals with a happy ending. This is a masterclass in comics by Jonathan Hickman with beautiful art by Pepe Larraz. This issue substitutes action for information, and I'll take that any day. This book is a 5 out of 5.
I hope you enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you hit that like button, give us a subscribe, and hit that notification bell. That way you know anytime the Comic Core is going live. Alternatively, if you'd like to support us monetarily, you can buy some of our Comic Core t-shirts. They're available on our TeePublic store. Click the link in the description below, or just go to the TeePublic website, type in Comic Core, and then shop till you drop. Do you have a hot date coming up? Maybe a job interview? We're putting up new designs all the time. You can check out this Drew Man Chew Bebe t-shirt. Impress your friends, your neighbors, and potential employers with your style. They're available in a plethora of different colors. Check the link in the description below.